It's fairly telling that you're not confident in your product if the unique selling point is right there in the title. Putting Dracula's relatives in torrential downpour is what makes Vampire Reign stick out, but fortunately it's as crappy as the rest of the games on the worst game search. With its, quote, unique features out of the way, Vampire Reign could be mistaken for an early Metal Gear Solid spin-off with its similar heads-up display. Even the night vision goggles you have look like the ones in Splinter Cell. If only originality could be transferred through a neck bite, as well as vampirism. So, will Vampire Reign suck or... Okay, sorry, that was shitty even for my standards. While the opening cutscene tries to establish what's to come, the story excerpt in the manual does a better job of bringing us up to speed. Every year, millions of people around the world simply disappear without a trace, and in most cases, they are never heard from again. Am I reading a Child Stranger Danger PSA or the start to a horror game? Up until the discovery of the creatures known as Nightwalkers, these individuals were classified as missing. After realizing that the missing were actually victims, it took mankind almost 100 more years to understand the true nature of the Nightwalker threat. Considering the infected we see transform to attack when we get too close, I'd have thought humanity would have taken like 10 hours to link the Nightwalkers to the missing people, not almost 100 more years, which, yes, this could be a bot's translation, but that indicates there were nearly 200 years between people going missing from Nightwalkers and humanity finally realizing the threat of them. Lacking an effective deterrent against the Nightwalkers, mankind chose a non-violent, passive course of action. Considering this was set in 2007, I think the Nightwalkers would have been nuked by now. You are in a team organised by the American Information Bureau, or AIB for short, or AIB for even shorter. This team is to go into a city on the west coast to try and greatly reduce the number of Nightwalkers. The manual also states, the streets reek with the cloyingly sweet aroma of Nightwalker infestation. Like, is this meant to read like an ad for a Nightwalker perfume? Rain heavily dampens the Nightwalker's senses, and Abe usually does missions in the downpour to capitalize on this weakness. Your team is tasked to kill a Prime Walker, who, when killed, destroys all the Nightwalkers it created. If I were John Lloyd, the playable character, I'd be concerned since he's the only one in the team who has faced Nightwalkers in combat. After no response from the advanced team, Lloyd and the team leader Harrison are sent out to secure the rendezvous point. The other members of your crew are Kelly, a sniper, and Hanson, a communication expert. The thing I find weird is, despite their English names, the game still follows the Japanese way of greeting someone with their last name for a person they're unfamiliar to. Although, there are a lot of two first name people in this game. Claire Kelly much? The game plays like a typical stealth game, packaged with your classic moves of ducking behind cover, vaulting, and climbing to vantage points. Objectives rarely deviate from go here, hit this button, and kill this guy. Enemies don't appear on your minimap, and to make them appear, you need to use your Necrovision goggles to determine whether it's a person or a Nightwalker. Unfortunately, the energy of the goggles runs out quicker than blood does out of an erect micropenis, and this means more boring gaps of nothingness in a stealth game. While everything controls fine, albeit the occasional sluggishness and unrecognized button input, the biggest flaw is the bizarre design choices. You start off with an unsilenced pistol, and throughout the game your arsenal grows to include submachine guns, assault rifles, and shotguns. I list them all to say that most of them don't work in any capacity, not when trying a stealthy headshot or when a Nightwalker is charging at you and you're loading more clips into it than I do into a YouTube video. Nightwalkers tear you down quicker than the popular high school girl does after you ask her out, and the checkpoints are as spacious as her brain cavity. Shit. If this is how hard they are to kill, I'm glad it's raining then. The second the Nightwalker charges you, you might as well go back to the last checkpoint because the game gives you no chances to recover. The only time it seems you can kill them is when you get powerful weapons from missions or when your teammates back you up. Your health does regenerate, but that's only if you take 4 damage since the Nightwalker attacks are gonna take all your health anyway. The only effective weapon is a UV knife, as a stealth attack from behind kills Nightwalkers. The catch is, now get this, a knife of all things has limited charges, you know, the thing you use when you're out of ammo for everything else. Who looked at a tried and true knife and said, yeah, let's make this complicated? There's one thing I hate in life, which is dumb protagonists with ineffective equipment, and John didn't bring his knife's charger. As far as I know, there's no in-game reasoning as to why this works, so I assume that since sunlight kills vampires, a knife of UV is just as effective.
The best way to avoid that is to sneak up behind your intended target and take it out with your ultraviolet blade. However, keep in mind that the blade can only be used for a given number of times. Use it only when necessary.
Even with this weapon, complete avoidance of Nightwalkers is the way to go. Unfortunately, this is easier said than done, as while the levels may seem spacious, it's more linear than it seems. For starters, the Nightwalker threat is nothing compared to the invisible wall threat, and this leads to finding which path leads to the end of the level more frustrating. Like its variety of weapons, the game makes it seem like you have many options until you get funneled into the one specific method that actually works. To add an extra kick of an insult, most of the environments are samey, dark, rain-drenched, abandoned streets that bombard you with loading screens if you so much as walk a block. I get that they were going for a somber atmosphere, but graphically it's more of a murkier mess than my toilet after a stomach bug. Fortunately, you can combat this by using the night vision goggles, but like Necrovision, the battery is being powered by a bug on a hamster wheel, which means its lasting time is shit.
If that's blood, the rain would have washed it away.
Yeah, but the blood's been mixed with a hardener.
Hardener? What kind of hardener?
Do you really want to know?
No, I guess not.
As you can tell, English is not these voice actors' first language. I raise my glass to stilted dialogue like this. I love that you can make a game like this more entertaining for your inclusion.
Forget it. Nothing can save her now.
If you complete a mission by collecting enough medals or passing enough trials, the game treats you like a masochist and rewards you with extra side missions and challenges. After finding no sign of the advanced team, you are ordered to destroy the comm facilities in the area to stop Nightwalker communications. From what dim-witted creatures I saw in the streets, I highly doubt they'd be able to use a UV knife, let alone figure out radio frequencies. Yeah, they seem like normal humans, but the second they see an actual human, they go beast mode and lose any semblance of intelligence. So, are they more effective to take over abandoned cities where there's no humans? Because otherwise they don't seem to have much worth other than being a brute force. I know the jerky nature of how the Nightwalkers move is meant to be creepy, but the shoddily way it's done makes it look like they're missing animation frames. When you're with your team, they find any excuse possible to make you split up because I suppose the developers didn't want you to see how bad the AI buddy is in the gameplay sections.
Let me go to the garage and see if I can find the advanced team's command vehicle.
On your own?
One man's got a better chance of getting through than a group. Anyway, somebody's got to keep an eye on our command vehicle.
One thing I will give the game is the use of sound, whether it be the rain creating a claustrophobic atmosphere or using the sound of fleeing birds to attract Nightwalkers. Except of course when, like most things in this game, it doesn't work and you get blindsided by a completely silent Nightwalker. Nightwalkers feel like reskinned zombies because they mindlessly shamble around most of the time and sound like modern zombies.
I hate rain.
It's cold and rough and irritating and it wets everything.
Humans born in a city taken by Nightwalkers have left, but they always return. They return usually with a spouse they met elsewhere. Sometimes they've got kids.
Jeez. What makes them do it?
Some say it's a smell. A sweet and subtle odor that permeates a city occupied by Nightwalkers. I've heard that anybody raised with that odor can't resist being away from it.
Man, this game seems more and more like a front to sell some Nightwalker themed perfume. After disabling the comms
Any signs of the advanced recon team?
Jesus Christ, don't you know you're in a horror game? Stop asking because they're dead. At the very least, one of them might be alive to have an emotional moment with one of you. Sheesh. You then find the location of the advanced team's command vehicle and go to it for more weapons and intel. I did not edit that. Someone really got paid to make that noise. After disabling the security system containing the advanced team's vehicle, it's decided that the relocation of the vehicle is the best course of action.
Hanson here, Captain. After checking the identities of the survivors, I can confirm that Captain Russell is still alive.
Eric. Okay, got it.
Why are there inverted commas around what the captain said? Is he quoting his favourite sitcom right now? While it turns out some of the advanced team is alive, your task is to put transmitters on the dead bodies for collection. No reason is given, so I think we're going to keep funding Abe by harvesting the advanced team's organs.
Eric, you okay?
Yeah, Hank. I'm fine.
Well then, let's head over to my command vehicle. You can fill us in on what happened to your team. Eric, your pulse and temp hit rock bottom. If you were human, you never could have walked. Forget standing on your own.
Captain.
He was a good friend, a good husband, with a lovely wife waiting for him at home.
Well, forget what I said before, you can't have an emotional moment if the actors can't emote. After finding out all the advanced team is dead, Abe headquarters refuses to send backup, and it's up to you to retrieve a box of information that the advanced team had to advance the mission. Later you encounter parent walkers that glow gold instead of red when viewed in the Necrovision, and when killed, similarly to the Prime Walkers, kills nearby Night Walkers it created.
I did get a photo of the target, but with the rain, I'm afraid it's not very clear.
Send it.
Uploading it now. Sorry it couldn't be better. Give me some time and I'll see if I can clean it up. I'll send you a
I
cleaner
don't
image
think
as soon as
that
I can.
image could be made clearer even if you had CSI to enhance it. Forklift certified, just the way women love it. With the information on the box, you find out the location of the advanced team's weapons and that the leader killed the team as he turned into a Nightwalker faster than usual. An unknown voice is heard from the advanced team comms and is assumed to be the Prime Walker, so its location is tracked.
Jeez, these screams are gonna give me nightmares for weeks.
If you had to endure the same voice actor we heard before, I feel your pain.
I've had some experience facing Nightwalkers in close quarters combat.
Okay, the building's yours.
Yeah, that took way too long to think about considering no one else has had Nightwalker experience apart from Lloyd. When you find the advanced team's weapon cache, you get access to a shotgun that kills the Nightwalkers in one shot. Additionally, there's information on what the Prime Walker looks like and its location, so you hunt it down.
Thanks. You okay, Lloyd?
Still have some ammo left, I hope.
Yeah, I still have ammo, I can't help it, your weapons kill them faster than I can even react to their presence. When in the Prime Walker's building, the sprinkler system is activated to simulate rain, but back when I was inside the other building, the shotgun did just fine to kill the Nightwalkers. When you finally do fight the Prime Walker called Ed Whitten, really, I could have gone a whole video without mentioning Twilight, but the developers could have picked any other name for him. The fight consists of you baiting him into going over the UV mines that Harrison puts down, which stuns him enough to let you damage him. Jesus Christ, I love these actors. Turns out this wasn't the only Prime Walker in the city, but you could have figured that out by looking at how long this video has left. Abe headquarters tasked your team with eliminating the remaining Prime Walkers within the city.
Is there any chance that the government is involved?
I haven't heard anything from our friends in Washington.
You've checked the AIB?
And the CIA, ODC, FBI, and every other government acronym.
While hunting the other Prime Walkers, Kelly separates from the group to follow a lead. She then gets kidnapped and the team pursues after the car that took her. After sneaking into the building Kelly's last location was, it turns out her transmitter was left behind and the team was following that. The millisecond after you inform Harrison of this information, this happens.
That woman they caught, where did they take her?
She's been moved to a holding facility.
Her presence worries me.
I've had extra guards placed around her. She won't be going anywhere soon.
I wonder who sent her.
If you want, I could interrogate her.
Yes, please take care of it right away.
I can't tell if the actors are trying to sound like mindless creatures or that's genuinely their best attempt at the dialogue. You sneak into the facility Kelly's stored at by jumping on top of a truck, and it looks like everyone's vision cones weren't programmed to see a few meters up because no one sees the obvious man on top. Look how lucky Lloyd got. The second the Nightwalker could have seen him, it does a jump to clear the fence.
No luck. I can't get any interior readings.
You can't see into the building that has its massive door wide open. After getting Kelly back, you find she got the face of the Prime Walker who captured her on her head cam. Lloyd recognizes him as the guy who wiped out his team 5 years prior, which was the same incident when Ernst Foley, a biologist, was kidnapped. Abe Headquarters tells the team to find Foley to get more information about the Nightwalkers. After finding Foley in a lab, nerd, he tells you that the 4 Prime Walkers rule over a city.
There are 4 that reign over this city. Edward, James, Margaret, and Charles.
British royal family sounding ass names. Foley was captured to help the Nightwalkers find out exactly what they are, and before he can tell you his research, Hansen interrupts you to tell you that Nightwalkers are approaching. To elongate the game further, when extracting Foley, it turns out he left his research back from where you escaped from, and it's up to Lloyd to retrieve it. What? I can't hear you over the rain. Was the voice actor using a $2 mic? The strategy is this to keep shooting their boss as he retreats with enough shots. Eventually he's defeated by having a shipping container dropped on his head by Harrison. Harrison doesn't help you otherwise during the fight, since he walks off at the start, since he says you have a history with the Nightwalker and it's best that you do it alone. Thank God Lloyd didn't live in this city prior, because he'd probably doing most of the mission solo based on Harrison's logic. After Foley is extracted out on the chopper, Abe Headquarters orders you to retrieve the advanced team's data disk.
Harrison here. Lloyd, can you help me out over here?
What's up, Captain?
My escape route has been blocked off. I've got another route, but I can't make it through alone.
I'm surrounded by Nightwalkers. I'm sending my coordinates. Come quick.
Please, for the love of
Bismillah.
can my teammates be effective at all?
Hansen, keep working on that disc.
I guess I'll drive then.
Oh. You then search and disable bombs that have been planted around the area, and you locate them by the sound of ticking getting louder. During this, Hansen has a heart-to-heart with Lloyd.
Hansen to Lloyd?
Lloyd here. What's up, Hansen?
Sorry to bother you. I just hate being alone.
I know the feeling.
I don't think so. You and me are different animals. I don't belong in the military. I should have stayed in college. I'm sorry to bother you like this. I think this mission's getting me down. Could you kind of keep this conversation between us? Hansen out.
Immediately after the mission ends, you find Hansen dead, so if any character starts getting development, that indicates they're gonna die.
The radio's been destroyed.
The video analysis system's been sabotaged too. Now we won't be able to analyze the video feed from the unmanned probe.
Who the fuck was in charge of mixing the sounds in this game? A noticeable amount of this game is like the characters at a rave with the music blaring out anything said. When trying to re-establish contact with HQ, you find strange Nightwalkers that emit body heat and can use weaponry. These sections play like a typical third-person shooter, but of course the aiming doesn't feel as snappy as you'd want it, and you can stand out in the open without worrying much about being shot. On the corpses, you find Abe equipment, and so you head back to the advanced team's vehicle to gather more information. When at the vehicle, none of the team can use the access code to retrieve the information. The next Prime Walker you encounter, Margaret, has a cleavage that would make Vampirella blush. She lets you know that Abe has been in communication with the Prime Walkers. The strategy with her boss fight is to stun her by aiming the mounted spotlight in the middle of the area at her and shoot her, then duck out of her attacks and rinse and repeat till her death. Assuming that your colonel was the one to betray you since he's the one and the only ones to know about the mission, the team heads back to a command vehicle to stop the probe from tracking them.
Foley, the biologist, once told me something very interesting. He said that if you cool wine slowly, it stays liquid even below its freezing point. But when you apply just a little stimulation, an apt example of our current situation, isn't it?
I'm afraid the significance eludes me.
Both we and humankind are soaking in wine that has yet to reach its freezing point. As for us, we've yet to comprehend what it means for the wine to freeze.
You obtain weapons and are about to access the command vehicle when this happens.
What are you doing?
I'm sure you have a fair idea.
So Dixon had one of his lackeys in my team. He really wants to start a war with the Nightwalkers, doesn't he? And he doesn't care how many lives it might cost.
The government fears a full-scale war.
You know, this is like when your annoying aunt announces that she's got cancer. It may be important information, but I just don't give a fuck. Turns out Abe wants America to have a war with the Nightwalkers, and you killing the last Prime Walker would have triggered this. This plan was underway the second Colonel Dixon found out about the multiple walkers, and they sent the human hybrid Nightwalkers to come stop you. Pretty sad how well a team with mostly no Nightwalker experience and dwindling supplies can plot armor their way through all of that. You find out Kelly was the one to kill Hansen, and she's about to shoot you when...
I fixed her gun to explode. She's lucky I thought to reduce the amount of powder. I suppose she'll wake up with a migraine. That's more than what she deserved for killing Hansen.
What put you onto her, sir?
Hansen's death. The kid had access to a motion sensor. But he didn't report any contacts. On top of that, he never fired a shot. That's when I knew we had a traitor in our ranks. At the time, I didn't know if it was Kelly or you. That's why I fixed both of your guns before handing them over.
So, to stop the war, you head off to kill the team Dixon sent to kill the Prime Walker that you were about to kill. When heading to the Prime Walker, Harrison asks you if you've seen a little girl around. Mind you, throughout the game, Lloyd has seen her, and she's even appeared in cutscenes not involving the team. So, it seems her existence is to try and add some creepiness and mystery to the game. It turns out the girl, Monique, was an associate of the vampire we saw before talking to the last Prime Walker, and the two of them are both natural Nightwalkers. The problem with this section of the game is that so much of it is broken up by cutscenes that announce the presence of enemies, with this being such a far cry from the scanning with Necrovision at the start of the game. I'm serious, you might get 30 seconds of gameplay to transition into a 10-second cutscene showing the next lot of enemies. The final Prime Walker is fought by sniping him, as well as killing oncoming walkers and dodging his attacks. After the fight, it turns out Harrison was bitten by a Nightwalker when extracting Foley, and kills himself with what seems to be a UV knife, because he does it when your back is turned around and burns up soon after. Monique approaches you to tell you that she and her master, Lord Hessler, are the only two Nightwalkers left in the city, and that he wants to talk to you. Before arriving, Lloyd admits that he will kill Hessler, and Monique does battle with you in a boss fight. Monique leaps around the top of the stage, throwing knives at you, and your only opportunity to hit her is really when she stops to attack you. The second stage of the fight has her on the ground, and you need to maneuver around the 4 bits of cover to stop her from throwing knives and charging at you.
I can't let you end life, Lord Hessler.
This is a perfect opportunity to tell you that this game has a multiplayer mode. Whilst the servers are more abandoned than Balenciaga stores, I doubt that on launch many people played it. It has your standard array of multiplayer modes with both solo and team variants of each mode, which includes Deathmatch, Destroy, and Capture the Flame. Solo Destroy isn't aptly named because you just stand near the objective to earn points, while in Team Destroy you actually destroy the objectives by standing near them. Even Solo Capture the Flame is different, as you need to hold onto the flame for as long as possible to win, whereas the team version plays like a standard Capture the Flag. The only unique mode sees a player being a Nightwalker and killing off the other players. Just gonna let your pants catch on fire there, mate? Hessler leaves you the choice to kill him, and regardless of your choice, when you leave, you are contacted by Abe and find out Dixon died of a heart attack. Both endings see Monique appear in her little girl form and walking off with Hessler, with her just resurrecting him if you did shoot him. Mind you, Hessler dying from one pistol shot means he's really weak for a leader that has minions that can take a whole clip of machine gun fire and not die. Many questions are left unanswered, like if Kelly survived the exploding gun and really what the whole point of the game was. Since this game never got or was never intended to get a sequel, these questions will lie in their coffin indefinitely. Vampire Reign really puts the emphasis on the survival part in survival horror because I'm not sure there'd be too many people who'd want to live after playing this game. All the characters are blandder than crackers dipped in water, and their only saving grace is their hilariously bad voice acting. Vampire Reign promises so many options but leaves many of them unviable, like a girl who promises to be freaky but only does missionary. Blue Balls gameplay indeed. While it is confusing to work out how the game wants you to play, it doesn't throw you too many curveballs in terms of gameplay. Developer Artoon started losing money and letters after the failure of this game, and unfortunately in 2010 we saw the closure of Toon. Hey, would you look at that? It's the now recently updated list. Vampire Reign's blood type must be O negative because oh my god did I have a negative experience with this one. See you next time. Hopefully the game won't suck the life out of me as much.
According to the computer, there's a route that'll take you through the sewers.
Great. As if this mission didn't stink already.